artillery, lyrics and ammo, rhymes and rhythm.
My name is Jim Joyner, and welcome to this special edition of Just Chillin'. I'm your urban navigator for this program. My guest for this program is Tanya Burney. Tanya is the training officer with the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board. Tanya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have to honestly say that Tanya agreed to come later, or it was earlier this afternoon.
Yes.
She agreed. She was gracious enough to be a last-minute replacement. The guest we'd originally scheduled was one unable or unwilling to show up.
That's
hey,
right.
They're lost. As I said, Tanya is the training officer at the Alcohol Drug Addiction Services Board. At least, Tanya, I'm glad that you could make it. For our viewers, for our listeners, tell us a little bit about you in general.
Well, I'm a native Clevelander. I grew up on the east side of Cleveland. I'm a graduate of John F. Kennedy High School. I actually have been in the field about 4 years. I started off at United Labor Agency working with the dislocated worker population, and also with the program there called Prevention Enhancement Services for Women. I'm doing prevention activities for women and children there. And lo and behold, here I am as the training officer at the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board. And I've been here at the board, really about three weeks.
Okay, and we're happy that you're part of the board staff. Before we get into tonight's topic, United Labor Agency is one of the programs that gets some of its funding through Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board, right?
That is correct, yes.
For those that may not be familiar with United Labor Agency, can you give us kind of an overview of the services they offer?
Well, they offer a lot of different services. They do a jobs program to help dislocated workers find jobs. They also do a program there that is funded by the board. It's an alcohol and drug prevention program. Also, they do a program called Prevention Enhancement Services for Women, which is a prevention program that provides parenting classes, self-esteem workshops, a chemical dependency mini-series. We also, at United Labor Agency, they also provided a service called Union Counselors, where they educated union members within the community about issues pertaining to alcohol and other drugs. So it was just really good. I learned a lot working in the labor movement and actually, understanding how alcohol and other drugs play a role in the workplace.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Some people may be wondering, well, why United Labor involved in substance abuse programming? Alcohol, other drugs is a big cost factor when we look at the workplace, right?
Yes, it definitely is a big cost factor. In doing research when I was there at the agency, it came out to be about like $7,000 per person for you're including insurance rates for the person if they, sick days if they take off. And then if you're working with equipment or any type of thing that might, harm you, you're more at higher risk if you're consuming alcohol or other drug. So it's very important that, that the message gets out there, especially in the workplace.
And I think that should be understandable to most of our listeners and viewers. If you employ an alcoholic, that alcoholic, man or woman, is more apt to have more sick days, or missed days, more apt to come in tardy or late, or unexcused absences. Therefore, they may be the ones that are also accessing the medical services, the medical plan of the company, and of course, each year or every other year, whenever they negotiate with the HMOs, those HMOs that see companies where employees are accessing that a lot have to pay more dollars per head per employee. So that does cost, not to mention the lost productivity, damaged equipment, and keeping insurance costs up. Well, a little extra freebie in terms of the information. Alcohol Drug Addiction Services Board, Tanya, we've talked about it here before. Give us a general overview, because a lot of people don't know about the Alcohol Drug Addiction Services Board here in Cuyahoga County. Primarily, they do what?
Basically, they're the main provider for funding programs within Cuyahoga County in the areas of prevention, substance abuse, and just treatment of alcohol and other drugs. And they provide a lot of things. They also do information and referral for agencies within Cuyahoga County. And they also act as the fiscal agent. They monitor the programs to make sure they're doing the things that they need to do for our community. So we do a lot there.
A person who has an alcohol or other drug use problem wouldn't come to the Alcohol Drug Board.
No.
But that person certainly may access some of the programs that get money through the board.
Exactly.
Programs like one of the women's programs that comes to mind, Hitchcock Center for Women.
Right. It's an excellent program. They provide in-treatment program for women and children. They do a lot. They're getting into case management and providing services. They have a full kitchen in there. Just all sorts of things there to help women in our community.
Yeah, and the programs are all over Cuyahoga County. Orange, New Directions, which is an adolescent treatment program out in Orange, off of Lander Circle, all the way to right downtown in the east side, East 89th and Chester. Orca House is there, and a variety of other programs, including the Cleveland Clinic.
Yes.
Does detox for those who are heroin addicted, very specifically, and that funding comes to the board. And again, if you'd like to know more about the board or those agencies that the board supports in the way of funding, you can call 348-4830, and that's area code 216, and certainly request a pamphlet that lists all the agencies with the numbers. And if you are a professional social worker, clergyman who needs information because you're working with folks and need to make referral, you certainly can request one of the comprehensive directories that list in very specifics the services. Again, my guest is Tanya Burney, who is training officer with the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board. Tanya, let's get into a little bit of why you're here tonight, specifically in terms of the board and what the board offers. Training officer kind of hints around to the fact that in some way you're going to be doing or you're responsible for training. What specifically does a training officer do at the board?
Well, my job at the board will be to provide and coordinate the training activities for the network provider agencies. We do.
Now, you say network provider agencies, and some of our viewers may not know what that means. What's a network provider agency?
Well, at the Alcohol and Drug Board, we fund over 50-plus agencies, including prevention and treatment agencies within Cuyahoga County, and also information and referral agencies like First Call for Help. So we do provide that service by funding those agencies. So those are the agencies that I'm talking about, and you can get a listing of our agencies, at the board through our service directory.
The number I gave earlier.
Exactly. So basically all of those agencies.
So the network of service providers are those 50-plus agencies that get some kind of funding. And you coordinate the training for them. Some folks may be wondering, well, does that mean they don't know what they're doing then if you got to train them?
No, that means that that means they do know what they're doing, and we're trying to make sure that they keep updated on what's going on and what new methods are out there to assist them in providing services for their clients. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that they're updated and that they know all the information that they need to know to do their job better.
Now, do you do all the training?
No. What we do is we contract out with professionals in the field that maybe have a lot of experience in the field, a lot of doctors, a lot of people with master's degrees, and just people with direct experience that have been in the field for a while that can give some feedback on what's going on and different practices that they've used in their particular practice that might help professionals in our agencies.
So individuals both in the community, and I know some of the trainers have come from outside of the greater Cleveland area.
We have a lot of trainers we had some that come from Kentucky, outside of the state, inside of the state. We have a lot of great resources here in Cuyahoga County, but sometimes it does, we do have to pull some from out of the county to be able to provide an extra, just to kind of know what's going on, you know. So yes, we would, and that's another advantage that we have at the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board, is that we can bring in someone from outside and that has had years of experience in the field, so that our, you know, professionals in our agencies can get that kind of feedback and that kind of, you know, experience.
How many trainings are you looking at over a year's period of time?
Well, for this upcoming quarter, and that begins in October and ends in December, we have 17 trainings scheduled. On average, I would say about 20 to 25 within that range within a quarter period. So that averages out, I would say, to about 75 to 80 trainings per year.
Now, when we talk about training signing, excuse the interruption, is it a 1 hour training we're talking about, or do these have different time?
It can be different time frames, from like 9 to 4. You do get a lunch in between. It could also be for 4 hours. You know, they're day trainings. We issue out the training brochure out to the whole provider agency, and not only are trainings available for our provider agencies, but sometimes we do have slots that are filled up from, you know, professionals that are not necessarily in our network agency.
Right. We're talking with Tanya Burney. This is Just Chillin'. My name's Jim Joyner, your urban navigator for this program. And as we usually do, we take a break here about mid-program, and we're going to do that now. And you're going to listen to a selection by the Volumes. It's an old school tune, and it's entitled Ain't Going to Give It Up. So let's not give it up.
My friend.